Hello, this is Miss Buddy, and I am going to talk to you about Quizlet, give you some of the basics for how to help your students when they're at home trying to study. So here is the Latin Novice page for my class. I'm going to scroll down and I'm just going to go back to the beginning of the school year. We will start with lesson 1. When you first open up the lesson, you'll see just a list of the words. On the left, the Latin, on the right, the English. Lots of students like to start off in the flashcard mode. There are 7 different modes that they can do on their own. This live version over here, they need a group. We do that in class sometimes. So starting with the flashcard mode.
Day.
This is just a very basic way of listening to and looking at the words. If you click on it, it'll flip over, it'll show you the Latin, and you can move on to the next word. Now, this is a very passive way of learning the words. It does not require the kids to do anything. They can sit here and just click through the words without really interacting with them very much at all. And this is perfectly fine for a first exposure. However, I would like to see the kids move beyond this very quickly. So if we go back, then we can click on the next one, which is the Learn mode. And for this one, they actually have to type in the correct answer. So as you can see here, according to my stats, I started this earlier. So I see Winco Winkera, and I have to type in the correct answer, which is conquer. So I hit enter, and it added it to my correct pile. And then I can just hit enter again and go on to the next one. As you can see, keyboarding skills can help a lot on this. And you can also see here that it shows me how many words I have remaining. So copio, take or capture, and move on. Okay, so this one is great because it requires the student to actually type in the correct answer. Now, let's say they have a typo. I was supposed to type in dog, however, I did doog. You know, if they actually really know the answer, they can click on override, I was right. However, if they didn't truly know the answer, if it wasn't truly a simple typo, they shouldn't click on that because we don't want the program to think that they know the answer when they really don't. Because as you can see, it will sort them into the incorrect and the correct pile. And once I get through everything, then it'll go back again and it'll focus on the incorrect words. So that is the Learn mode. Next is the spell mode.
Life.
For this one, I would definitely open up the options and have it turn the audio off. It still says type what you hear for some reason, but I also want to switch this to
Life.
English and off. I'll click start over. Because we want it to give us the Latin and we want to be typing the English. What?
Call.
I don't think it's letting me mute it because I have my headphones on in order to do the podcast.
Conquer.
But so they'll look at the Latin and they will type in the English. And it'll say that if I got it correct or not. One of the things that I like about this mode as opposed to the other one is if you do not get it correct, it doesn't simply tell you that you didn't get it correct. It actually forces you to type the correct answer before you're allowed to move on. So let's say I type in an incorrect answer. It'll show me what the correct answer is.
Come.
And then it will give it to me again.
Take. Capture.
Another difference between the spell mode and this mode is that, learn was the previous one, this is spell. Another difference between the two is that this one doesn't make you go through the entire list before starting over again. This only does it in chunks. So for example, this chunk has 7 words that we're going to go through, and then it will give me some stats. So I'm going to very quickly go through these, just so that you can see what it looks like when you're done.
Day. Day.
Whoops.
Day. Anger. See. Hold.
Okay. So once they get through that first chunk, it'll give you an overview and show you the words that you got correct, the words that you got incorrect. And another thing I like about this is that it makes you do every single word correctly
Wolf.
twice. I wish it would have lingered more there, but you could see where it would show you, according to the dots, the words that you've gotten correct twice, the ones that you've gotten correct once, and the ones that you haven't attempted yet, or haven't gotten correct at all yet. Okay, so that's flashcards, learn, and spell. You can also see here that for learn, I am 25% finished. That means I've gotten through 25% of the words. For spell, I'm only 12% done. And then there's the test mode. The thing I like about the test mode, well, there's several things I like about the test mode, but this is how I make our quizzes for class. So they can see exactly, get some practice in the exact way that it's going to be done in class. So what I do is I never do true or false, and I always do everything starting with the Latin. So they should open up the options and make sure that they uncheck true false, make sure that they start with Latin, and then create new test. And they write out the answer. And for this, they have to do the items in parentheses as well, because they do need to know these. So verb, it's a lead. This one is a noun, and it means land. And they would do that for all of the fill in the blank. For the matching, they just put their cursor here and type in the correct answer, and so on and so forth. And for multiple choice, they just pick the one that they want, and then click check answers. And of course I have lots wrong because I didn't complete the whole thing, but they can receive feedback and see how they're doing. And like I said, this is how I make my vocab quizzes. So this is the exact same format. They can get practice in the format that they will be taking the quiz in. And let's go back. All right, so matching. This is a lot of fun. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's just matching. So you grab one and you have to find its match. So anger is right here. You just drop it on top. Animus, mind, spirit, and so on and so forth. And it'll do their time. So you don't have to be able to type for this one. And you don't have to be able to spell very well. So if those are two things that your student struggles with, that is another one that's requiring some level of interaction. It's not very passive, but the students won't be hurt by poor spelling or typing skills. Something that they can do to make it a little bit easier is if they minimize the window and then they click on match, they will, let's see, is this going to work? Yep. So we've got little boxes, and so it's not dragging. Instead, it's just clicking, which some students prefer it that way. Also, this gives you a nice view of what it looks like on handheld devices. So imagine that this is occupying the entire screen on a phone, and they can just hold it and click with their two thumbs, and they can get much higher scores than they do on the clicking mode like this. And so Quizlet, the matching mode on Quizlet is fantastic. All right, and the final mode is gravity. Now this is one where spelling and typing skills are quite important because it's timed. So I am going to click hard, start with Latin, and I'm going to put it on hard. Not that they have to, but I just want to show you what it looks like. So we've got asteroids coming at us, and we've got a Latin word here, and we need to type in the English in order to get it correct. And if you don't know the word, as you probably just saw that pop up, you can hit escape. It'll tell you the correct answer, and then you can move on. Same thing, if you let it go all the way down to the bottom, the exact same thing will happen as you just saw with the pop-up on the escape. And there's one other thing I want to show you. You'll notice that I have the word noun in parentheses. The students need to memorize the part of speech that a word is. And the way that Quizlet works, anything that's in parentheses, it will ignore. So I could just type in king, and it gives me the answer. However, eventually they need to be able to type in the entire thing. And the nice thing is they don't actually have to type the parentheses. I could just type verb, conquer, and it'll give it to me. So for their first round, when they're first learning, they can just go ahead and type in a basic definition of the word. But eventually they do need to get to the point where they are able to tell me that it is a verb and that it means love, or this is a verb and it means lead, or this is a noun and it means king, and so on and so forth. So those are the basics of Quizlet. As you saw, keyboarding is very important. It is very frustrating to not be able to get as far as you possibly can without keyboarding, and I am a huge advocate for keyboarding skills for several different reasons, not just because of Quizlet. So if your student doesn't have good keyboarding skills, I highly recommend that you look into a keyboarding program for them to go through. Thank you for listening to my podcast on the basics of Quizlet.